point in the 11 countries of the CIS. So the head communications personnel of these republics are meeting, of these 11 countries are meeting in Moscow today, except Georgia and the Baltic countries. It remains to be to resolve questions of television and radio broadcasting, long-distance telephone communications, and to coordinate postal rates. Today, the republics of these communications agencies at the republics have decided the issues in principle, but fear interference from politicians. In Saratov, when we broadcast television, it will inevitably be received in Kazakhstan. Therefore, we have to agree with Kazakh authorities on the distribution of frequencies. We have reached a bilateral agreement to organize these issues in the framework of the meeting which is going on today. In terms of issues related to communications, how will accounts be handled between the republics? With all the republics, with the Baltic republics, that is, we will enter into international accounting systems. With all the remainder of the republics, we will use international accounting procedures, but with rubles. Today, the Estonian government, led by Edgar Savisaar, resigned. The Prime Minister was accused of improper economic policies, as a result of which the government found itself in a profound crisis. At the same time, not a single one of the parliamentary factions was successful in proposing its program for bringing the country out of the crisis. Edgar Savisaar, the Prime Minister and former National Front leader, and his government resigned today. What will be the relationship between the new powers in the new government remains to be shown by the near future. The latest round of negotiations between the Military Council of Georgia and the opposition ended without results today. They refuse to meet the ultimatum demand that they lay down their weapons. The ultimatum deadline came at midnight yesterday, and military actions have not been undertaken at full strength yet because the Military Council hopes the Gamsakhuria supporters will come to their senses and not fight. Despite the fact that in certain places there are 70 centimeters of new snow covering the cities and towns, conflict remains in the port city of Poti. There are scattered shootings. 2 government soldiers have been wounded. Here is what radio ATV correspondent Vladimir Mezets broadcasted today. According to information from the city of Poti, the city bank of this city has been robbed. $40,000 belonging to the port itself have been stolen. Political conflict remains. Enterprises are undertaking extreme losses. The city of Batumi is relatively stable thanks to the Adjaria leader, Mr. Abashidze. There was an attack on the bazaar, but this was seen as an attempt by certain quarters to frighten the peasants who bring food into this area. The defenders of the port of Poti have said that they will blow up the port if it is attacked by government forces. According to Tengiz Baramidze, the city was attacked from 2 directions, but the attack was beaten back by supporters of Gamsakhuria. And the final information we received in this hour from Georgia, today the Political Consultation Council of Georgia has decided to set new parliamentary elections. The date of their elections will be decided upon by agreement. This evening, artillery shells flew again on the Nagorno-Karabakh cities of Khanken, Stepanakert, Martuni, and Shusha. They were attacked by 4 surrounding Azerbaijani population centers. 15 buildings were destroyed, including a children's hospital. 3 people are wounded. Armenian villages returned fire on Shusha in order to stop the shelling from there. On both sides, there are casualties, including deaths. The working visit in Moscow of the State Secretary and Foreign Secretary of France, Roland Dumas, has come to an end. Roland Dumas' program was extremely full. During his 3.5-day meeting, he was received today by Russian President Boris Yeltsin, at which meeting they discussed many questions relating to the upcoming visit of the Russian president in France. In accordance with documents signed today, Yeltsin and Mitterrand are planning on signing a general economic treaty. However, the French government considers it premature to sign a large-scale economic cooperation treaty during the process of transformation to the market economy. Today, Roland Dumas expressed his opinion on the results of the meeting at a press conference, at which he said that after meetings with Andrei Kozyrev and Marshal Shapachnikov, he discussed issues of nuclear weapons and nuclear security. The French foreign minister received assurances that the Russian nuclear forces remain in reliable control. The French foreign minister expressed his concern that nuclear proliferation will occur as a result of brain drain from the former Soviet republics. France expressed its willingness to provide food assistance to the CIS and said he had a personal meeting with Mikhail Gorbachev. The participants of the Conference on Assistance to the Commonwealth of Independent States worked for a second day in Washington today, discussing possibilities for aid, including the creation of a ruble stabilization fund in the amount of $7 billion. However, this did not become a point on the agenda, but it was approved in discussion. At the conference, there was a certain assent. Germany and France proposed that, intimated that their contribution to Russian aid is greater than that of the United States. They expressed the opinion that the United States should not only coordinate the aid effort, but also increase its contribution. The British delegation said that the scale of problems in the CIS does not yet warrant large-scale aid. Not one of the former Soviet republics was invited to the forum. The Americans explained this by the fact that they were afraid that the various sides would compete with one another for a larger share of Western aid. Representatives of the Commonwealth are planned to be invited to the next meeting of the conference in Lisbon this June. This is the Indian state of Punjab. Today, Sikh terrorists shot up a bus taking part in the Unity March. As a result, people were killed and injured. The authorities in several regions warned the organizers of the strike that they would be subject to attack in areas controlled by Sikhs and Muslims. Yitzhak Shamir declared today that Israel remains interested in the peace process in the Middle East. The Prime Minister said that he is not in agreement with the opinion that Israel must now choose between building Palestine and promised help from the United States. And the Israeli Foreign Minister, David Levia, left for China today in order to establish diplomatic relations with that country. A decree on the creation of a new state news agency on the basis of TASS and a part of the former news agency Novosti was signed by the Russian president today. The Minister of Communications, Mikhail Poltoranin, announced this at a TASS news conference. The director of the musical theater, Boris Pokrovsky, is 80 years old today. In congratulating the master, we are happy to remind you of the revival of an old tradition, the creation of clubs for the creative intelligentsia. Several light bulbs were burned out in the Central Actors House today, but the But Boris Pokrovsky, the guest of honor, explained that the Central Actors House is a place of good and that good cannot burn out. He reminded us of the line from Bulgakov's novel Master and Margarita, manuscripts cannot burn. It was very pleasant to see these masters performing with respect and love for one another. The House of Actors once again unites all of our masters. And the paradox of this evening with Pokrovsky was the goodwill expressed between all the masters, but that the wonderful old building of the Central Actors